Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Throne of Steel episode number 140 based on novel. So let's start. The Lich King was not clear on how the six-headed Haoyue was already able to pressure her to such incredible extent. At that rate, the next time they'd find him, the only thing to do would be to wait for his next evolution. Only, after evolving, would anyone truly be able to suppress him. Her incomparably deep feeling of powerlessness gradually turned into deep fear, as the Lich King once again let out a deep screech. Tower of Eternity. At the time Haochen and Haoyue returned, Haochen felt his back dripping with sweat. The previous situation was just far too much. Without Haoyue's assistance, he'd surely have already died. No matter what, he couldn't give up on Haoyue and transport himself back to the Tower of Eternity alone. Those undead creatures were just beings at a whole other level. There's still a gap between the demon god of death Saminaga and the Lich King's undead magic, but she's even more straightforward and terrifying. In particular, her last summon of over 100 bone dragons was far too shocking. If not for Haoyue's act of deterrence towards those bone dragons, he could only have ended up torn to shreds. But from another standpoint, such terrifying undead powerhouses held blatant fear towards Haoyue, and Haoyue's aura even suppressed their strength. From that, one can well imagine how bitter the memories his ancestors left in them were. Haoyue, just what level will you reach in the future? Seeing Haoyue's 6 large heads and his purple crystal-like armor, Long Haochen softly caressed him. Haoyue's 6 large heads immediately gathered, especially the newborn earth elemental head Little Yellow, who rubbed against him insistently. In front of Long Haochen, the previous pressure Haoyue had was totally non-existent, and he appeared instead like a child. This evolution also provided Long Haochen with a considerable boost. His internal spiritual energy reached a total of 3,000 units, and more importantly, his external spiritual energy had a change. Having finally quieted down, Long Haochen could pay attention to these changes. He found out that a new kind of powerful force seemed to be present in his blood, this force seeming very close to Haoyue's aura. It should be the origin of that purplish golden color that had appeared on him before. This force was fusing with his body, and gradually became part of him. Based on Haochen's estimate, before 10 days pass, it will have completely finished the process of fusion. Long Haochen had no precise idea of the level his external spiritual energy would reach at that time, but it would have to be measured in tens of thousands. Moreover, this external spiritual energy he gained because of Haoyue seemed to have properties in common with internal spiritual energy. After spending this affectionate time, Haoyue crawled onto the ground of the Tower of Eternity, entering a deep slumber. Visibly already very tired, he had expended a lot of energy in this evolution. Long Haochen's comrades didn't know what thrilling experiences the two of them experienced at the end. After all, they only came a mere few dozen seconds earlier than when Long Haochen and Haoyue returned. There's no way they could know that if Long Haochen hadn't strived to earn these last few seconds and stopped the Lich King, a last attack could have threatened Haoyue and kept them there forever. Haoyue being in deep slumber, they joined Haochen's side, and Han Yu expressed with worry, "Captain, Haoyue's evolution seemed to be becoming more and more challenging. That undead creature we saw before was strong enough to match the top 10 demon gods, and even surpass some. I'm afraid that we are going to face even more powerful enemies next." Lin Xin expressed, "Haoyue's evolutions are also taking longer and longer. Maybe the next one will be in a few years. At that time, do you think that we still won't have the ability to face enemies of her kind? Boss is already a knight of the 8th step. After a few years, maybe he'll reach the 9th step already." Wang Yuanyuan let out a giggle, "I didn't think you were so optimistic. Boss, now that Haoyue's evolution is completed, shall we go look for Yinga?" Long Haochen nodded, "It's time for us to gather the last of them to us. However, over the past few days, I have carefully reflected on what's next, and I have decided that we will try our utmost to not intervene when coming next to Myriad Beast Mountain Pass of the Spiritual Temple and the Southern Mountain Pass of the Priest Temple. In particular, I can definitely not participate any further in the defense against the demons." Hearing that statement, the others were all baffled. In fact, as demon hunters, their most basic mission was defense against demons. Long Haochen declared, "After the termination of my secluded training, I have been in the dragon-resisting, Exorcist, Tombal, and Southeastern Mountain Oasis. But every time, my interventions have been far too influential. In the dragon-resisting mountain pass, I managed to severely wound the demon god of death Saminaga thanks to the Tower of Eternity. Then in the Exorcist mountain pass, I assisted great-grandfather Sheng Yu in killing the blazing lion demon Andromalius and killed the goblin knight Seer alongside Caia. Then, relying on light prayers, I temporarily held off the supra-forbidden spell of the hell demon god Marbas, earning some time for the Tombal mountain pass. And now finally, once again I killed the demon god of clear vision. 3 demon gods died consecutively because of me. The demons aren't idiots, and my golden foundation armor is really too conspicuous. They surely have taken note of me, and may even have some guesses. And every time I appear in the battlefield, I gain more comrades at my side. I can cover my own looks, but your appearances will be recorded in their eyes. As long as they have capable people analyze my being, they can very easily guess my appearance. If the demon god emperor ascertains these guesses, he will very possibly lead the devil dragons, moon demons and star demons in a large-scale invasion. This is the scenario I fear the most. The demons will sooner or later find out my identity, but I hope for this to be in the demon territory. This way it won't implicate the 6 great forts. For this reason, we will strive our utmost to stop intervening in the following forts, and stay low-key. After we are with Yinga and Sima, we will display our full force after infiltrating inside the demon territory. Having listened to Long Haochen's analysis, Zhong Fangfang and Han Yu immediately expressed their approval, and the others understood as well. Just as he said, the time for their public display hadn't come yet. Not letting any demon god crown escape will prevent these demon gods from reappearing temporarily, but as long as their demon god pillars are still around, they will keep being passed on. Therefore, the most important for them was to infiltrate demon territory to try their utmost to destroy demon god pillars. At that time, they will surely show awe-inspiring displays in demon territory, but this will only make the situation around the Temple Alliance more steady. With their little group, even if the demons are even more powerful, finding their trails in such a massive territory is no easy matter. Myriad Beast Mountain Pass, Spiritual Temple. Chen Yinga stood blank there, appearing totally sluggish. That spiritual saint robe made of 108 spiritual pellets and countless embroideries of magical beasts spread soft fluctuations of spiritual energy. In front of her were seated 2 elders. One of them was her grandmother Sanshui Popo, and the other an even more important character, the present head of the spiritual temple and Chen Yinga's grandfather, Psychic Master Chen Hongyu. That's how things are. Yinga, you will have to carry on. His chances of survival are extremely low. No, this can't be. He will surely survive, that's for certain. Chen Yinga suddenly shouted, her tears flowing uncontrollably. Her hand carried a letter, but most of all, her body was now shaking uncontrollably. Visibly, she has lost control of her emotions. Sanshui Popo explained with a sigh, child, we have been resisting the demons for so many years, and many of ours have already parted forever. Just get over it. This rancer has to be aimed at the demons from now onwards. No, grandmother. I am going to look for him. Chen Yinga abruptly lifted her head, her eyes glittering with resolution. Stop the brat act. Chen Hongyu shouted, and his awe-inspiring demeanor immediately shook Chen Yinga. Do you think you are still a small kid? Could it be that you don't understand the consequences looking for him by yourself would have? The instant you took over the spiritual saint dress, your life had stopped being yours alone. Chen Yinga remained stubborn, I can take it off at any time. Drivel. Chen Hongbo stood abruptly. His build couldn't be considered tall, but felt unspeakably broad. Aside from being the spiritual saint girl, you are Chen Hongbo's, only daughter. Have you thought about us? If something were to happen to you, how could your grandmother and I not become mad? Hearing his words, Chen Yinga's stubbornness finally softened. Abruptly rushing forward, she cried loudly in the arms of Sanshui Popo. Looking at his granddaughter who cried to the extent of losing her voice, Chen Hongbo couldn't help but shake his head, you girl. Why are you acting so tough? It's so clear that you love the other, yet insist on acting so disdainfully. And now you are the one suffering pain. As Sanshui Popo comforted her granddaughter, she gave Chen Hongbo a fierce glare, you have a good nerve. That's just like you, old fart. I still remember about that mental integrity you showed when courting me. What a hell it was to keep up appearances. When facing his wife, the previously very aggressive head of the spiritual temple became helpless and sat down resentfully. After pondering for a short time, he declared, we are summoners from the spiritual temple and aren't very expert at scouting. Yinga, keep your calm. Your grandpa will immediately report to the Alliance and ask for a demon hunt squad to be dispatched to look for him. As long as it is possible, he will be rescued. Hearing her grandfather's statement, Chen Yinga shook her head, still hazy with tears, but the demon hunt squads are all defending with the defense or fighting in demon territory. How could there be a powerful enough demon hunt squad to look for him? And what's more, if you write to the Alliance, who knows how long it will take for them to show a response. Chen Hongyu showed a bitter smile. What's to be done then? I will also write to the Exorcist Mountain Pass then, asking for them to dispatch some assassin. That's the most we can do. Yinger, it can't be that you don't understand how uncertain the chances of him coming back alive are. Chen Yinger pouted, and right as she seemed about to cry out, a respectful call came from outside. Temple Head, the Night Temple's Provisional Saint Knight Head is paying his respects to you. Provisional Saint Knight Head? Although Chen Hongyu felt agitated due to Chen Yinger's matters, hearing the appellation of Provisional Saint Knight Head, he didn't dare neglect it. The Night Temple is the head of the 6 great temples, so even though their Provisional Saint Knight Head may not be among the best in terms of strength, his influence is absolutely among the best, even exceeding some insufficiently strong auxiliary temple heads. Invite him, quickly. Chen Hongbo immediately ordered. Beside him, Chen Yinger wasn't crying anymore, hastily expressing to Chen Hongbo, Grandpa, this Provisional Saint Knight Head is coming just in time. Just have him arrange some Saint Knights to search. Chen Hongbo responded full of seriousness, calm down, child. Do you think your grandpa isn't agitated as well? You are my granddaughter. Let's put this off until I greet this Provisional Saint Knight Head. The Saint Knight Head of the Night Temple has actually been replaced, so it looks like Han Qian is going to keep remaining on the side of the Alliance. Wait inside together with your grandmother. Yeah. Chen Yinger responded, though feeling aggrieved, and finally took her grandmother by the arm to return inside. This was Chen Hongbo's office, as well as Sanshui Popo's residence. All the rooms were quite large. Outside were large drawing rooms, and inside, some bedrooms and specialized closed rooms for cultivation. Very fast, sonorous footsteps sounded out. The one who made the previous report once again spoke. Temple Head Senior, the auxiliary Saint Knight Head has arrived. Please enter. Chen Hongbo's expression was back to normal. With sonorous footsteps, tall-built knight clad in golden foundation armor came in. Chen Hongbo saw with astonishment that this Provisional Saint Knight Head was not only clad in full armor, but didn't even take off the mask on his face. In a way this made him unhappy. This place was not the battlefield, but a safe area of the spiritual temple. To dare dress up in such a way, this Provisional Saint Knight Head was really impolite. Provisional Saint Knight Head and 12th Golden Knight greets Temple Head. Sorry about the inappropriate behavior I am showing by not taking off my mask. I beseech Temple Head's forgiveness. A clear and bright voice came out from the armor. So young? That was Chen Hongbo's first response. But without allowing him the time to start his reply, a cry of shock sounded out from inside. That was Chen Yinger's voice. Immediately, she dashed out from inside, clad in the eye-catching spiritual saint dress. Even Sanshui Popo couldn't stop her. Chen Yinger arrived in front of the Golden Foundation Knight, about to ask in shock. Seeing her, that Golden Foundation Knight was also extraordinarily moved. Yinger, so you were here as well. That's for the best, it spares me from looking for you. While saying that, this Golden Foundation Knight lifted his hand, taking off his mask to reveal an extremely young and very handsome face, none other than Long Haochen. Chen Yinger and Long Haochen having cooperated for many years, she was among the most familiar with his voice. For that reason, as soon as she heard his voice, she recognized it, and therefore rushed out from the house disregarding everything. Boss, just as if seeing a relative, she called him boss, and threw herself at Long Haochen's arms while crying. While standing to the side, dumbstruck, Chen Hongbo was totally unable to comprehend that magic trick. Even with the outstanding intelligence this psychic master of the 9th step had, he was unable to comprehend the situation before his eyes. Sanshui Popo also came out, and joined Chen Hongbo's side. Seeing Long Haochen, her shock was no less than Chen Yinger's. In a low voice, she whispered to Chen Hongbo, this youngster is Long Haochen. Why is he here? And he even became auxiliary Saint Knight Head. Who's Long Haochen? Chen Hongbo only felt that this name sounded familiar, but was unable to remember who that was for a moment. Sanshui Popo recognized Long Haochen due to her presence at the Demon Hunter competition of that time. The current Haochen was far taller than at that time, and looked also far more mature and heroic. If not for Chen Yinger's appellation as boss, she wouldn't necessarily have recognized him. You fool, how many young talents do you think the Night Temple has? That's the captain of Yinger's Demon Hunt squad. That one who destroyed Andromalia's Demon God Pillar. Hearing Sanshui Popo, Chen Hongbo immediately showed a reaction. So this youngster before him turned out to be no one else but the #1 genius since the beginning of the Night Temple's history, Scion of Light Long Haochen. While comforting Chen Yinger, he bowed apologetically to the two elders. Sansue Popo slowly stepped forward and nodded at Long Haochen with a smile on her face, pulling Chen Yinga from his arms. Although Chen Yinga and Long Haochen used to be in the same demon hunt squad, in her eyes, her granddaughter was not the slightest below this scion of light. Moreover, Chen Yinga was still unmarried, and getting too close to Long Haochen. It wouldn't be good if news of this spread out. Boss, you have to go save him. Chen Yinga was pulled away by her grandmother, but still couldn't help but express her wish. Long Haochen had a start, as the nearby Sansue Popo immediately retorted, "What a girl you are! Can't you calm down for a bit? This provisional Saint Knight head came to greet your grandfather." Chen Yinga looked at Haochen with an aggrieved feeling, and expressed, "Then I want to speak with you in a bit. I really need your help on a matter." Seeing Chen Yinga's cute face so dripping with tears, Long Haochen felt pained. Without hesitating, he nodded. Although Chen Yinga was actually a bit older than him, at the time they were all in the same team, he always regarded her as a younger sister. She had a straightforward temperament, and although being the weakest, she never cowered in front of any kind of danger. This was Long Haochen's first time seeing her lose control in bitter cries like that. Chen Hongbo still looked at Long Haochen full of puzzlement, and now that Chen Yinga had calmed down, he slowly expressed, "Saint Knight head, Yinga has been impolite. Please don't take offense. Have you just been promoted to this title?" Long Haochen naturally understood this psychic master's meaning, and immediately handed over the letter he got from his grandfather. Having reading Long Qianying's letter, Chen Hongbo immediately showed an apologetic look, then indifferently expressed, "I have gotten Brother Qianying's meaning. You, Saint Knight head, can remain in our place without issue." Long Haochen declared, "Temple head Chen, we are unable to remain here for too long. After that, we have to proceed to the priest temple to retrieve our last teammate." Chen Hongbo's eyes flickered slightly, "Saint Knight head, I'm afraid that I will disappoint you on some matter. Since your demon hunt squad has already dissolved, I have no intention to let Yinga return to a demon hunt squad. She must remain in the temple." Long Haochen was in great shock, and the same went for Chen Yinga. Ever since Long Haochen exited closed-door seclusion and reunited with his comrades one after another, this was the first time he faced such a situation. Chen Hongbo actually didn't allow Chen Yinga to return to them. Chen Yinga wanted to retort, but was stopped by Sansue Popo, who went as far to use spiritual energy to seal off her ability to speak. She could only worry helplessly while looking at Long Haochen and her grandfather. Chen Hongbo explained, "Since the Saint Knight head represents the Night Temple, I won't conceal the matter. Yinga's innate internal spiritual energy exceeds 90, and she's our spiritual temple's spiritual saint girl, as well as the first talent able to succeed to the spiritual saint robe since the beginning of the spiritual temple's history. For this reason, she must remain in the temple to inherit to my legacy in the near future, as the next head of the spiritual temple. So her status is rather special, and not fit to risk her life as a demon hunter." Hearing Chen Hongbo's declaration, Long Haochen became silent. He turned his head to look at Chen Yinga. Although she was restricted by her grandmother, her anxious look already told Long Haochen a lot of things. Long Haochen expressed, "Head Chen, what about listening to Yinga's view? If she is unwilling to remain as a demon hunter, I will absolutely not insist. But you know that a demon hunt squad has to be formed with every vocation. Without her, we can't be a complete demon hunt squad." Chen Hongbo indifferently responded, "That's a simple matter. There are a lot of powerhouses composing our spiritual temple's younger generation. Please pick one of them, Saint Knight head, and that will be it. I will be reporting to the Alliance and make an exception to switch a member from your team." Even Sansue Popo called him stubborn, so one can well imagine how the temperament of this temple head was. The matters he has decided on will very rarely change. Long Haochen gave Chen Yinga a quite helpless look. But then the fierce changes in her expression came to his sight, looking on the verge of flowing out with tears. "Temple head, please reconsider. As the head of the spiritual temple, you have no authority to order a demon hunter." Chen Hongbo stared coldly, "Saint Knight head, please mind your own status. You are unqualified to speak to me like that. You can go now." Turning the visitor out, this temple head showed an even nastier attitude than the mage temple's head Li Shengxi. Of course, this was mostly because of his relationship with Chen Yinga. Long Haochen wrinkled his brows, "No, you are mistaken. I believe that I am qualified to speak to you as an equal. My identity as Saint Knight head aside, I have my demon hunt squad's title." Chen Hongbo became blank, "Youngster, pay attention to your behavior. It's not as if you can take out anything to serve as a banner of justification. How young are you? And what's your level of cultivation? For which reason would your demon hunt squad have a title?" Long Haochen referred naturally to the supreme title belonging to a titled demon hunt squad. That's the supreme honor for a demon hunt squads, as well as the most majestic status attained by any demon hunt squad. The captain of a titled demon hunt squad has a status that is not below any head of the 6 great temples. Long Houchen replied indifferently, if I am not mistaken, in the Alliance's rule, a special situation allows a demon hunt squad with insufficient cultivation to be titled. That's a situation of sufficient contribution for the Alliance. Chen Hongbo coldly replied, are you referring to your destruction of Andromalia's demon god pillar? Indeed, this contribution is really of such a kind. But of the destruction of Andromalia's demon god pillar there is only your side of the story, that the Alliance still couldn't verify. Using that to boost your demon hunt squad to a titled one is quite arrogant. Long Houchen shook his head, no, I am not referring to this contribution. In the demon hunt squad's rules, there's no rule stipulating the destruction of a demon god pillar. But there is another rule. If a demon hunt squad kills 3 or more demon gods, they will be qualified to call themselves titled in advance. Chen Hongyu showed great alarm, you saying that you have already killed at least 3 demon gods. Long Houchen stomped his right feet onto the ground, and unleashed a surge of golden flowing light, removing his golden foundation armor. Raising the sleeve of his garment, he revealed his contribution point tile. The records of a contribution point tile cannot be faked. Please have someone make an inspection, Temple Head. We have killed in succession the snake demon god Andromalius, the goblin knight demon Seer, and the demon god of clear vision. I was the one dealing all the final blows. Hearing him, Chen Hongyu couldn't help but change his expression. And the same went for the nearby Sanshui Popo. The process of Long Houchen's groups killing the snake demon god was narrated in detail by Chen Yinga, but they didn't expect Long Houchen to have actually killed another 2 demon gods. Killing Andromalius could be said to be a total fluke, but could it be the case for every one of the others they killed? And what Long Houchen has said was correct. According to the Demon Hunt Squad's rules, they were now indeed qualified to receive a title and to no longer be bound to the same rules as the other Demon Hunt Squads. This title will follow them anywhere and forever. To be the member of a titled Demon Hunt Squad is the peak of honor, and a status that surpasses a Temple Head. After all, Temple Heads are rulers and commanders, or can be described as ones in control. But Demon Hunters of the titled grade are the absolute heroes of the Temple Alliance. Chen Hongbo's expression softened, and he asked out of his subconscious mind, then, what's the current title you have? At the time of our departure from the southeastern fort, we have asked for the warrior temple's head Chiu Yo Hao to testify for us and formally receive our application to receive a title. In the past, when we were in the Exorcist Mountain Pass, when we had encountered the demon god Slayer's heroic members, their head Chen Zidian had asked us whether we were willing to succeed to their title in the future. But I have refused, mere demon god Slayers cannot bring humanity peace and development. At that time, my comrades and I came up with a future title name, which is, Bright Glimmer of Hope. Bright Glimmer of Hope. Hearing these 4 words, Chen Hongyu couldn't help but show himself emotionally moved. On the side, Sanshui had a shocked expression. They could both feel the far-reaching ambition Long Houchen had behind this name. Hearing these words, the resisting look in Chen Yinga's eyes finally calmed down. At that time, when Long Houchen rejected Chen Zidian's offer in order to mention this title of Bright Glimmer of Hope, even the members from their own Demon Hunt Squad only took that as a far-reaching goal that they could maybe aspire to in 100 years. But after just a few years passed, Long Houchen, still under 20, was already saying that they were on the verge of possessing this title of Bright Glimmer of Hope. An incomparable feeling of honor rose in Chen Yinga's heart, and a soft milky white spiritual energy was abruptly released from her body. The spiritual energy in the air suddenly went up, as Chen Yinga regained her ability of movement the next instant and shot to Long Houchen's side. Captain, are you saying that for real? We are really eligible to have our own title? Chen Yinga grabbed Long Houchen's hand and shook it energetically. Although she wasn't very greedy for material items, she valued very highly the fact that her own Demon Hunt Squad could gain a title. This majestic honor even gave Chen Hongbo and Sanshui Popo some feelings of jealousy. In fact, in the 6,000 years of human history, the total of Demon Hunt Squads that were able to acquire a title is below 20. And in the present age, there are only 2 of these titled Demon Hunt Squads. Long Houchen showed a faint smile. Although our strength is still far from matching the name of titled Demon Hunt Squad, we certainly have a title of our own. Awesome, that's really awesome. Captain, I want to return no matter what, and fight alongside everyone else. I want it wholeheartedly. Saying that, Chen Yinga abruptly turned her head, facing Chen Hongyu. Grandfather, you cannot stop me. You don't have the authority to stop a demon hunter from returning to her own team. Did you know? In the past years under Captain's lead, we went through fire and water and made outstanding contributions for the Alliance. But in the team, I had no way to use summoning magic, and was always a burden to everyone else. But my comrades never expressed discontentment toward me. No matter when, they were always putting me in the safest place, especially Captain, who faced off against the most powerful enemy every time, and bore the enemy's most powerful attacks. And every time it came to this, I could only stare blankly at everyone fighting at the risk of their lives, unable to do anything. But now that I am finally a true summoner, with a power of my own, how can I choose to break away from my team at this time? How can I be so selfish? Grandfather, no one can stop me. Even you cannot unless you kill me. Otherwise, I will return to my team anyway, to be alongside my comrades. Chen Yinger's speech was very earnest. Once again her tears gushed out, but her words were incomparably steady, containing no diversion or leeway. Sanshui Popo still had a clearly hesitant look. She also used to be a demon hunter, and obviously knew the feelings of unity between the members of a team, and the deep feelings arising from countless experiences of life or death. Their feelings as compatriots were often enough compared to relatives from a same family. Who knew how many times they strived their utmost to manage to save each other from a situation of danger? At that very moment, Chen Yinger's determined words rang in her mind and couldn't help but confuse her. But Chen Hongyu's view wasn't the same. Although he fears his wife, in the end he's the head of a spiritual temple, the one with the highest authority and power in the present situation. Seeing Long Haochen and his tearful granddaughter, Chen Hongyu's expression gradually pacified, giving a resolute look to Long Haochen. Deep apologies, Saint Knight Head. I am taking back my previous words which I spoke due to an emotional impulse. Congratulations on obtaining this title of Bright Glimmer of Hope. Over many years, any of the 6 great temples have all made sacrifices for each other. Who knows how many parents have seen their child step into the battlefield only to see their corpse return, sometimes not even complete. As the head of the spiritual temple, I understand the importance of Yinger's honor as a demon hunter. I know I shouldn't stop her, and I certainly have some selfish motives deep inside. I have only this one granddaughter. But I am definitely not stopping her from returning to you because of these selfish motives. Reaching this point, Chen Hongbo pointed at the spiritual saint robe on Chen Yinger. Please look, Saint Knight Head. The current cloth Yinger wears is called spiritual saint robe. That's the only divine tool held by our spiritual temple. It is embedded with 108 spiritual pellets, all of which were left by powerhouses of the 9th step from our temple. This cloth can be said to come from the efforts expended by several dozen generations of the temple to be finally completed. But from the day of its completion to now, only Yinger was able to put it on. That's because her innate spiritual energy exceeds 90, blessing her with the constitution as spiritual saint girl. Just like you, she is a God's chosen one. Summoners aren't the same as you knights, even the most powerful summoners will have a weak body. Our spiritual temple cannot do without Yinger, so I cannot let her take risks. Give her another 10 years, and she will surely become the true cornerstone of our spiritual temple. At that time, she will be able to show much greater use in the battlefield than now. So as the head of the spiritual temple, I must stop her from going back to that life. I hope you can understand. That won't do, Grandpa. You can't stop me. Captain, transport me away. That way, even Grandpa won't find me. Chen Yinger swayed Haochen's arm, as she asked to be teleported to the Tower of Eternity. But Long Haochen didn't do so. That's because he could understand the current feelings Chen Hongyu was having. Wasn't the current Chen Hongyu just like his own grandfather Long Haohan at the time he emerged from seclusion? At that time, they made things incredibly difficult for him for the same reason. An innate internal spiritual energy of over 90 has, for any temple, an incomparable value. That's an earth-shattering powerhouse, born with the potential to match the demon god emperor one day. With such a powerhouse as their leader, any temple would have an extremely prosperous future. As the temple head, Chen Hongbo had no other choice but to keep Chen Yinger here. And as Chen Hongbo said, Yinger was, before all else, a summoner. Kia and him were both God's chosen ones, but their survivability is far greater than Chen Yinger's, especially he, possessing the Tower of Eternity, able to transport him to another realm at any time to escape the enemy's chase. In the end, that's why Long Qianying and Xing Yu let their team reform with ease. Yinger, be patient for a bit. Long Haochen patted Chen Yinger's shoulders, finally calming her down. But upon looking, she saw her grandfather and grandmother's look become very alert. Chen Hongyu couldn't help but take a defensive posture. However, he secretly was impressed, feeling that this youngster called Long Haochen truly is a big deal. She understood her granddaughter's character very well, including her extreme stubbornness. Unless she's truly convinced, there's no way she would remain obedient and listening. At least, at his own side, this treasured granddaughter was never so obedient. Temple head, I can really understand your apprehensions. But Yinger is part of my team, we really need her. I can guarantee you I'll do my utmost to defend her safety. As captain, protecting my comrades is my unrelenting responsibility. I will do my utmost for this sake. As long as I live on, I won't let the enemies inflict any harm to her. Chen Hongyu showed a calm and collected look. Are you saying that you believe your own strength to be sufficient? Long Haochen replied, Temple head, our team is an entire body, and at least in the same level, I dare affirm that we have the greatest survivability possible. Back then, Senior Chen Zidian handed over a piece of epic equipment to us, called soul-sharing chains. You should have heard about it from Yinger. They have the ability called life-sharing. In other words, at the time we suffer enemy's surprise attack, we can take the damage for each other. Not only that, but every member of our team is equipped at least at the legendary tier. We have now 2 divine tools and 4 pieces of epic tier equipment as well, without counting Yinga's spiritual saint robe. I am very confident in our abilities of self-preservation. The divine tools he was referring to were his divine snail shield and Kia sickle of the god of death, and the 4 pieces of epic tier equipment, soul-sharing chains, eternal melody, aria of the goddess of light, and hibiscus of light. The Tower of Eternity wasn't counted because aside from its teleportation, he really didn't want to use its other powers. So the eternal melody was only counted as a piece of teleporting equipment of the epic tier. 2 divine tools and 4 pieces of equipment of epic tier? Chen Hongyu's facial muscles twitched visibly. How could such super equipment be found at low value? And how young were their bunch? For a moment, Chen Hongyu didn't know how he should continue to rebut Long Haochen. Seeing her husband's hesitation, Sanshui Popo expressed, equipment and weapons are after all external objects. The most important for one to defend himself is a sufficient strength. Although Yinga has already broken through the 7th step, her capability is insufficient. Captain Long, how about that? We can permit Yinga to return to your team, but you have to promise to not enter into demon territory for a certain time to complete missions. The best is for you to remain in the Myriad Beast Mountain Pass, participating in the Holy War to make contributions for the Alliance. Out of the question. Without waiting for Long Haochen to reply, Chen Yinga immediately rejected decisively. Grandmother, we are already a titled Demon Hunt squad. You don't have the authority to stop us anymore. I must follow Boss and the others and go complete missions with them. Chen Hongyu's eyes flashed, taking a deep tone, understood. Do as you please, but you will all have to prove your abilities of self-preservation to me for that, with your own strength. Chen Yinga stared blankly. She didn't expect her grandfather to give such a delightful response. How should we prove it? Chen Hongbo declared, as long as you're comrades and you can manage to defeat me, I will admit that you are capable enough to defend yourselves. That's impossible. Chen Yinga immediately understood that her grandfather was telling them the same message in a roundabout way. On the surface, he agreed, but actually wanted to make things difficult for them in another way. Chen Hongbo was no one else but one of the top veterans of the Temple Alliance, a formidable psychic master of the 3rd rank whose spiritual energy reaches 300,000. Of course, spiritual energy is in no way a decisive factor of strength for a summoner because they mostly rely on their summons, making their spiritual energy their certain backup force. So actually, the spiritual temple is the one who has the most powerhouses of the 9th step out of the 6. But their fighting strength isn't the greatest. Summoners ordinarily only train spiritual energy alongside of their summoning magic, and do not focus on any other skills or abilities. That makes their spiritual energy cultivation naturally more efficient. Simply said, if Chen Hongyu with his 300,000 spiritual energy were to face Long Qianying who reaches 200,000, he would undoubtedly face defeat. But if that was in the battlefield, while facing myriads of enemies, Chen Hongyu would undoubtedly show far more use than Long Qianying. Chen Hongyu declared, since things are that way, don't think of leaving. Do you think I don't know of your little scheme? If I let you return to your team, you'll immediately go with them to Yang Wenjiao's rescue. Yang Wenjiao? Long Haochen couldn't help but feel alert hearing this name. At the time of their Demon Hunt selection competition, Yang Wenjiao, Duan Yi, and he were known as the 3 great hopes of the Night Temple's younger generation. But he hadn't met Yang Wenjiao for a long time. And that Yang Wenjiao was not only Chen Yinga's fiancé, but also the grandson of the Divine Knight of Defense and Planning, Yang Haohan. Yinga, what's the matter? What about Yang Wenjiao? Long Haochen asked Chen Yinga in a haste. Hearing his question, Chen Yinga's eyes reddened immediately. He has been caught by the demons. It's unclear whether he's still alive at this time. Originally, Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi's Demon Hunt squad entered into demon territory to fight in the enemy rear after the start of the Holy War. They were ranked among the best Demon Hunt squad of the younger generations. As a whole, the talents forming their team weren't much inferior to Haochen's team. Having gone through incessant tempering in the battles against demons, their strength made enormous progress. And Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi showed good cleverness, meticulous thinking, and appropriate commanding abilities. So from the beginning, they have been performing actively in demon territory, and completed quite a good amount of challenging missions. As time passed and their real combat abilities increased, this Demon Hunt squad followed in the wake of Long Haochen's group, becoming a commander-grade Demon Hunt squad. Although they didn't follow the same path, the Demon Hunt squads of Long Haochen, Luke 11, Yang Wenjiao, and Duan Yi had all already reached the commander grade by this day. Their 4 Demon Hunt squads having all been established for less than 5 years, this was simply a miracle in the history of the Demon Hunt squads. But Yang Wenjiao's and Duan Yi's commander-grade Demon Hunt squads finally had an accident. The Holy War had already gone on for close to 2 years, and they were fighting in demon territory all this time, returning almost only once a year. But a short time before, they attacked the demon troops in charge of transportation of supplies, with fully prepared plans and battle arrangements. Yet that absolutely safe mission ended up in failure, for the simple reason that they had the bad luck to encounter a demon god. Speaking of which, this was related to Long Houchen. This demon god that they encountered was prepared to join the front, to reinforce the Exorcist Mountain Pass. Of their troops stationed at the human forts, the Exorcist Mountain Pass had the weakest arrangement of demon gods. Their commander was after all the emo demon god Sytry. At the time Long Houchen's group came to the Exorcist Mountain Pass, contributing to killing 2 demon gods, Sytry also sustained significant wounds. In such circumstances, the demon side naturally became concerned with the situation implicating the Exorcist Mountain Pass, and immediately dispatched a demon god to reinforce the demon force assigned to the Exorcist Mountain Pass. This demon god was ranked rather high, being among the top 24. Just so, a veteran amongst the demon powerhouses. Therefore, Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi's 2 demon hunt squads met with failure. Although this demon god hadn't been carrying his demon god pillar, his strength was far beyond their scope of resistance. The final result was a disaster, and their demon hunt squads ended up almost annihilated. Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi were seized with severe wounds, and the only one that came back alive was the assassin from Duan Yi's team, who carried the information. The place of the accident was rather close to the Myriad Beast Mountain Pass, but after passing on the information he had been sent back with, this assassin finally dropped dead. How could Chen Yinga stand worryless after getting this piece of news? She immediately showed extreme panic. Originally, Chen Hongyu and Sanshui Popo didn't plan on informing Chen Yinga, but she coincidentally found out. Having listened to Chen Yinga's story, Long Houchen's expression suddenly became extremely unsightly. First, without mentioning the relationship of fellow soldiers between demon hunt squads, Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi were rare talents to the Night Temple. They were talented knights who could possibly become divine knights in the future. Since they were captured, Long Houchen had to rescue them no matter from which point of view he thought of the matter. Even if their current strength was far from sufficient to guarantee their success, they had at least to give it a try. Yang Haohan's good care of Long Houchen was engraved in his memories. Without the support from this head of the Night Temple, maybe he would have been sent to the Demon God Emperor before the Holy Wars start. Breathing deeply, Long Houchen gave a look to Chen Hongyu, seriously declaring, "Senior, I accept your previous proposal. I am willing to challenge you alongside my comrades. But I hope for your conditions to be loosened. In front of our group of juniors, could you at least not use your equipment?" Chen Hongyu didn't think that Long Houchen would still accept this evident bullying test. For a moment, he didn't show any response, but couldn't help but feel some appreciation for this Long Houchen. The fact this youngster decided to lead his team to challenge him meant that his decision of going to save Duan Yi and Yang Wenjiao was already made. If his granddaughter wasn't part of this, Chen Hongyu wouldn't have tried a powerful demon hunt squad that way. But when it involves his granddaughter, how could he let Chen Yinga take such danger? But there's no way he could take back the words he just declared. As a temple head, there's no way to go back on one's word. All right. I won't use any equipment when facing your challenge. I will let you pick the time, and the location will be my spiritual temple's fighting beast's ground. Long Houchen nodded slightly. Temple head, we have not seen Yinga for a long time. Please let us gather with her in the meantime, it will facilitate our battle tactics arrangements. Okay. Though, in case your group wants to leave this Myriad Beast Mountain Pass, be aware that you will become forever unwelcome in our spiritual temple. Also, we will halt you in your tracks by sending the temple's forces. Long Houchen responded, "Be at ease, this kind of situation will absolutely not happen." Afterwards, he performed a standard knight salute to Chen Hongyu before putting his mask back on, leaving alongside Chen Yinga. "Boss, As soon as they got out, Chen Yinga once again pulled on Long Houchen's arms. As all sorts of feelings welled up in her heart, she couldn't help but burst out in tears once again. Long Houchen stroked her head. "Fool, what are you crying for? Don't tell me you think the missions we have faced before were easier. Even without you, I would definitely go save Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi at all costs after learning that they have been caught by the enemy. Calm down for now, we will be facing your grandfather's test after a time of rest and reorganization. You are the most familiar with Head Chen, so please give explanations to everyone." Chen Yinga nodded repeatedly. For some reason, after Long Houchen arrived, the anxiety and uneasiness she had lowered greatly. That was a habit from the time they frequently acted together. It seemed to her that as long as their captain is there, all troubles will disappear. That feeling of safety gradually formed after long times of cooperation, and was already deep-rooted inside Chen Yinga. Long Houchen brought her to the resting grounds arranged by the spiritual temple, to reunite with the others. Naturally, show of affection followed, especially between Chen Yinga and Wang Yuanyuan, who were originally good friends, good sisters. Seeing each other once again, they shrieked in excitement, causing excitement from everyone else. The joy of their reunion diluted rapidly. After coming back to tranquility, Chen Yinga talked about the previous matters. After hearing her, everyone gathered their looks in agreement at Long Houchen, waiting for his decision. Long Houchen declared, "We must face the temple head Chen in this, otherwise he won't permit us to bring Ying along. And you, please make a trip to the southern mountain pass on Star King's back, and bring Sima back. We'll have to gather all our forces to possibly win this battle." And you replied, "Yes, I am immediately going." Long Houchen brought him outside, where he called out Star King. After a few words of explanation from him, and you rode Star King and departed immediately for the south. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.